everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 2. All right, before we get started, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be the first to find out when I post these videos. All right, guys, let's just jump into this week. We are on Episode 2, Season 15, first West Coast cast. So I'll be honest, this week, I feel like we're still slowly getting there, okay? Because we're now, like 5 hours into the new season and only 3 couples have gotten married. They left us with 1 couple approaching the altar this time, but only 3 couples have gotten married. So last episode, we saw Alexis and Justin get married. And then this episode was a mix of people going wedding dress shopping and tuxedo shopping, and also Sasha and Nate getting married, as well as Lindy and Miguel getting married. So I'll just give my 2 cents because this episode to me still didn't have like a lot of meat, and a lot of the beginning episodes don't, until we start getting to the honeymoon. So I'll save my long-windedness for then. But I will say Alexis and Justin seem to be off to a great start. She said she, wasn't really, well, I don't think she said she wasn't attracted to him. She said that wasn't really necessarily her type. But if she didn't say that, I would think that she was attracted to him because they have such a beautiful chemistry on camera. They look so nice. Those wedding pictures look stunning. I mean, they look so genuinely happy. Like, I love love, okay? So I get excited and I really hope these couples win. I root for them because that's just how I am in general. But whether we know what's happening behind the scenes or not, whether they're saying different things in the confessionals, based on what I'm seeing now, Alexis and Justin seem to be off to a great start. They're only at the wedding, but we have seen disasters at the altar. So I am just going to be positive. They have a good chemistry. They have really good physical chemistry. You can tell the people around them are enjoying watching them. So it's really good to see. They are off to a strong start, and hopefully this is an indication of something to come, something good to come. So I'll just leave it at that because we didn't, we already saw most of their stuff last week. Next we have Morgan and Ben. So Morgan and Ben is the cheapskate mama's boy, and Morgan is rough around the edges a little bit, does a lot of like, I don't know what martial art she does, but she does that. She is not getting married, so this really sucks for them. Ben apparently caught COVID, so he is unable to, and that's kind of where they left us at the end of this episode. He is unable to get married on the day that they're scheduled to get married. Morgan is triggered in some capacity and says she hopes that is, not that she hopes that he has it, but she hopes that is not him getting cold feet and just saying whatever. But then she's worried because, okay, the partner that she has COVID. She hopes that he's not too sick, that he's okay. Not only does it throw off the wedding, but it also kind of throws off them going to the honeymoon with the other couples. So that really sucks. And then their honeymoon is going to be shorter than everybody else's. And then that kind of extends the anxiety and anticipation of getting married at first sight. So that really sucked for them. That's kind of where they end. That's where they're at. So we'll see next week how that continues to transpire. Next we have, I believe it's Krysten and Mitch. So Krysten and Mitch, that's where we're left off for this episode. They are going to be getting married next episode. Krysten is the one who has not told her father as of yet, which blows my mind. She's waiting to tell him till on the day of the wedding. They have a conversation. You can see that her dad's like, oh, wait, what? Like, you're really doing this? I think that's absurd. I mean, the only thing I could say is she knows her relationship with her father better than anyone. So we can't speak for it. If she is that dead set on doing that, she has to know how it'll land, because for everyone else watching, it seems like a terrible idea. I feel like that's just not respectful, and I feel like it really is like a cop-out way so that it doesn't give your family member wiggle room or just the time to adjust or even process and support you in a genuine way. So that is weird. I didn't even like watching that conversation. I felt like it was really selfish. She was engaged and ready to be married before. So that whole conversation about finding out that her ex had a mistress a month before the wedding, she had spent her life savings and all of that, that has come up several times throughout these last couple of episodes. One thing I would have said, and I think like maybe they do it for TV, but like when she was getting dressed and getting her makeup done and her hair done, she was talking about that. And I just think that if you're really past it, then you have to be present in this moment. And that person, the actions of that person shouldn't get to dictate what you're talking about and how you're feeling in this moment. So when I was watching that, I was like, wow, she's getting her hair done for this wedding. She's really done the thing that most people wouldn't do, which is try to get married at first sight unseen. And this is what she's talking about, you know, but I don't know. Is it probing from production to have content? Maybe it is. But I hope that her apprehension of how things kind of blew up, unfortunately, before this doesn't continue to get in the way, because it can. If it's like, well, I didn't see it that time, so now I'm going to kind of operate from that place. Mitch seems to be like a Devo. Mitch had an attitude because his either hair or beard was too low. He seems a little off-putting on camera. And I think last week I said that he could be a little problematic because he doesn't seem very flexible. And he is the oldest of the bunch. You know, the older we are, the more set we are in our ways. But that's not going to work here. And if that's how you are, then you don't need to do this, because you're going to need to be flexible and at a rapid pace. So we see his inability to ebb and flow in a way that kind of keeps it moving and doesn't add like drama or stress to the whole thing. And where his friends and family can like ignore it because, oh, that's just Mitch, that's going to be off-putting to a spouse who doesn't know you and doesn't owe you anything. Because like as a viewer, I was like not pleased with watching him. I was like, okay, this is not attractive. Just an attractive quality of someone that we don't know. So it'll be 10 times worse for his spouse. So I know he's going to bring some drama this season. I just know it. But that's where we left off with Krysten and Mitch. One of the people who did get married was Sasha and Nate. Surprisingly, I really enjoyed watching them. They have a good chemistry. They had fun. I mean, we've just seen the wedding and like a little bit after, the little conversation after. But I'll say it again, we have seen where being at the altar and then the conversation after does not go well. So it was just nice to see, because it feels like the calm before the storm with a lot of these couples. It was nice to see them have a good time, take each other in, crack jokes. I've always thought that the lead-in vows that they get from the family, sometimes it's just really off-putting. Like, don't say that about your person. Like, show them in the best light, you know, even if it's being funny. Sometimes I feel like the vows in the past from family members and friends, they're terrible. But I thought that they were pretty good on both sides. I thought that they were kind of light, they're funny, but they showed some depth and they showed their person that they were representing in such a nice light. So I thought it was fun. I thought they were hokey back and forth and had like a good chemistry. You know, he said she was beautiful and he's very handsome, and they even talked about it afterwards. Like, do you find me attractive? They both like affirmed each other. Thought it was a little creepy that Nate was like, oh, you have a small waist. That's good. I like that. It's like, Nate, I said last week he gave me Playboy vibes, but it's like, that's one of the things that's great that you noticed that and you like that. That's great. I feel like it feels very creepy for you to be saying that. And I'm surprised that they matched Nate, because in his interviews, he was very specific about the type of physical features this person had to have and what he wanted. And it was very, very surface based. So that's a stretch and that's a risk to match someone like that in this experiment, because if they didn't like the person off of what they saw, then it's pretty much a done deal, which I don't think you need to be that person doing this too. So I didn't think they would actually match him with someone, but he's happy. So, you know, thank God for her. Otherwise he'll give it a shot. But I think so far so good. I think they are meshing well early on. We continue to get kind of like her, Stasha's mom and Stasha's friends kind of saying, are you going to be able to not say no all the time? And you can see the lack of insight. And I don't say no, I'm kind of flexible. And everybody's like, there's crickets there. We also saw a softer side of Sasha when she was getting emotional because she was really aware of like how significant this time is and putting herself out there and not wanting to be hurt. Like when I saw her get emotional about not wanting to be hurt, I think that's going to be the game changer for her, not only in this experiment, but in her relationship, softening and letting that person see that vulnerability and letting them see who she is, truly, not like this, I'm a boss, I did this, I did that. Okay, there's a lot of accomplished, miserable people here. There's a lot of accomplished, lonely people. So, that whole facade, although that's great in some rooms, and although that's significant because you worked hard for that, that just can't be the lead in all the time because it really closes people off. It closes the opportunity for transparency and vulnerability and depth in relationships. So that softer side of Sears that I saw with her, I was like, I looked at her completely differently. And I hope that she can bring this about so that people can get to know her and want to get to know her. Jury's still out on Nate. He seems nice, but something about him just he doesn't seem as ready to meet as he thinks he is. But I don't know. We're all judging, right? Because we really don't know these people and we're only seeing what we're shown. But that's just my vibe. But they were good to see at the beginning and throughout. Last we have Lindy and Miguel. So Lindy and Miguel, they got married this episode as well. I like them. They both feel down to earth to me. One of the things that stuck out to me in their vows was when they said, "Oh, Dr. Lindy so-and-so," and then he has a doctorate in I think neuroscience or something. And sometimes people who work hard for that, you can wear it however you want, but sometimes people lead with that and there's this air with that. And they are talking about these little things that they like to do. And he's talking about his little Dungeons and Dragons club. And she was like, "Oh, that's kind of cute." Yeah, everything's cute at the beginning. Years later, she's going to be like, "It's either me or Dungeons and Dragons. It can't be both." But it was cute for her to just be excited to be like, "Oh, he's kind of like nerdy. He's kind of quirky, but I like it." We all know that Miguel is multifaceted. He talks about all the things that he likes. And he talked about how, listen, being a scientist wasn't something that was fulfilling for him. So he does something else. And they're both kind of like in the medical field. She works in a very flexible time space and he works remote. So their adventures can be together and how they really connected on that. Hey, we can go and work from anywhere and let's just do it. That was really good. I just feel like they have a genuine good energy together. And they look like they took each other in a very like positive way. So I enjoyed watching them. I thought that they were beautiful together. One concern that I do have about Lindy is her background in terms of the way that she grew up and kind of like the religious confines that she was in. Nothing specific with the religion, but how it's continuing to show up in, well, I wasn't able to do this and I wasn't allowed to do this and I don't know. And so it's caused like a lot of anxiety in adulthood. It's caused like her to be very unsure, her to be very overly analytical, her to be like, I don't know what to do. And we hear this like recurring theme because we heard it last week. We heard it in the matchmaking special. We heard it this week from family and friends about her like definitely turning a mountain into, a molehill into a mountain, and it being this thing that somebody else hopefully can come and dissuade and reduce and kind of help her calm down or help her see that it's not that deep. That's something she's going to really need to work on. And she's successful in a lot of ways, but I think on a personal front, just from the little stuff that we've seen, it could be problematic, her inability to manage herself in a way, manage her emotions in a way, or manage her thought. And I think we all have aspects of that we can work on, but you see her be unaware about a lot of things, but then you also see it kind of like validated by her family and friends who know her well. And one thing I noticed this episode, maybe last, but for sure this episode, is there's more staging in terms of the conversation as the bride or the groom is trying on the tuxedo, trying on the dress. Now they're kind of prompting the family to say, here are our concerns. While we're waiting for them to come out of the dressing room, here are our concerns about so-and-so. Some of it felt like okay, let's move on. But some of it was like really good insight into their concerns from knowing that person, how they're going to show up in this experiment and in this marriage. So that showed up for Lindy. And I was just like, God, I hope that she doesn't get in her own way because everything is a thing, or I don't know what to do, or I'm overly analytical. I mean, even with picking out her own dress, her friends and mother had to kind of guide her and say, okay, close your eyes, you know, like do this guided imagery meditation for her to be able to come to the decision. Well, that's not always going to happen, and there ain't always time for that. So I hope that, you know, that doesn't get in the way of things. That will be something that she has to unlearn and she has to manage. And hopefully over time it gets better as she continues to be sure. And the best thing she could have is a spouse who helps her feel secure and sure so that she can trust herself more. Not someone who maybe triggers that insecurity or doesn't know how to help manage it. But he's really going to need some help from like people who know her best. Here's the way, and her. Here's how I am. Here's where I struggle. Here's what I need. But I still think that they are a very cute match. So we'll see how that transpires. We have another episode of the last 2 weddings and maybe some honeymoons. I don't know. Now that this couple won't be able to do it on the same timeline, we'll see. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. And don't forget to subscribe and share. And I'll see you guys next week. Everyone have a wonderful weekend.